Well, good evening. We got a packed house for you tonight. Coming on, Ryan Lotsberg, Kirk Morris, and Mike Commodore. What do we got here?
Call me baby.
Oh, man. It's a shipwreck and we're all going down. We're off to a quick start. You know what? I think I've seen everything now. Evander Kane playing beer league in Edmonton. What do you boys think of that? We'll start with you, Commie.
I'm just disappointed. I thought I was being invited on the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast, not the Two Goalies and a Mannequin podcast.
Oh, man. And I kind of thought that, you know what, Ronald McDonald was retired, but apparently not. Everybody's in character tonight. What do you say, Lotzie?
Yeah, good on Kaner for having some fun.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. What do you think of that, Kirk?
Find out.
Yeah.
Walk around, find out.
That's quite the alias he's going by.
Yes, sir.
Is that the first, like, you know, NHLer that said, fuck it, I'm going to play beer league this summer to get in shape?
No, they used to do it all the time, but I hope he doesn't take a fucking stick to the orbital bone, that's all.
Yeah.
I remember doing a summer skate one time it was a college player and then a guy who said he was in the Columbus system at the time. He was from St. Albert. Pretty sure it was Nick Holden.
I was thinking of...
I was just going to chime in. Don't they have the beauty league there in Minnesota there for all the people there in Minnesota?
Where in Minnesota?
That's a little better than the average beer league, though, right?
Yeah.
A little?
All I know is that Evander Kane was playing Tier 1 in the CCRHL. I play in Tier 11 in the CCRHL. He's just damn lucky he didn't drop down. I owed him.
Pretty stealthy alias he went by there. If he would have picked a different name, maybe he would have got away with nobody knowing who he was. But
I know in the crowd taking pictures, like.
Yeah, that dude blends right in with every other beer leaguer in Edmonton for sure.
Everybody wants to be in the show.
He scored 2 goals in an 11-7 loss or something like that. I think it was in the one game he played.
Yeah, somebody on the other team got a Hattie. Disappointing.
Upstaged him. I know way back in the day in Grand Prairie, when I was living in Grand Prairie there, I played in the summer hockey league there, and we actually had like Jeff Sanderson and Dean McCammon were playing that league that one year when they were still in the show.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, back in the day when I was playing too, I was youngster, but my uncle would bring like Gary Nyland and Ron Duguay, and those guys would play beer league in Surrey when I was playing.
I always forget that you're 82 years old, Chad.
I was 14 at the time, if that helps. So it's not a new thing. They do it all the time, but it's just kind of. I love that Kaner's going with the name. Love it.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's kind of funny, you know, when you're a kid, you want to get fake ID to be older and do different things. When I was 28, I almost needed fake ID to play 35 and over senior hockey with you, Chad, that one year.
It was fun, though.
So what's the alias, Dash? What's the alias today? What are we going with?
Who the fuck is Dash?
That's a great alias. I love it. From now on, it's who the fuck is Dash.
Yeah.
Were you,
who the fuck
were you
is
paying
that?
attention during your own intro? Mike Commodore.
No, I never pay attention to Dirsa for the intros.
I've seen a lot of Dirsa's podcasts. Not a lot of people pay attention to him, period.
Hey, Lady Byng, how are you going to take that one?
Like I usually do. Tail between my legs and skate the other way.
Just bring him over here, Mike. Yeah, I got you.
Oh, I think it's time for this.
Tommy.
I think it's time for
Tommy,
this little.
you still driving Uber or what?
I says pardon?
Did Tommy, are you still driving Uber?
Of course I am. Just when I need a laugh.
To change.
Just part-time I only drive Patrick Kane around.
That's a party.
What stays in the UB happens in the UB. Stays in the UB.
If you're watching this in 4K, if you zoom in on that guy's handlebar mustache, let me tell you something, brother. he's got Hogan and Mike Commodore mixed up a little.
You guys got a top line with two gingers on it, and you're going to make fun of my mustache? Lotsy, sorry.
You can't see the ginger in your beard
I
from
knew
there.
you'd be my ally tonight, my fellow ginge.
I thought Commodore got his class 1 and started driving trucks with Penner.
I got my class 1 just so I could drive Babcock over someday.
Can Penner survive the pancake stops at the truck stops, or what?
No fucking way, not a chance.
The only reason Penner got his class 1 is so he can drive his conspiracies all over the world.
He got his class. No, the only reason he got his class 1 is so he could drive his old man's truck. That's all he did.
Next stop, Columbus. Woo!
Oh, I gotta play a little clip for old time's sake, Dash. Just 1 second here.
Who the fuck is Dash?
Yeah.
Feel it coming in the air. Hear the screams from every.
That is totally not the right one. Let's go to this.
No. Yeah, we don't want to talk
So
about
what is
that
Elementor
tonight.
hosting? Say you want to build your WordPress website, and then you come across terms like domain, WordPress security, caching, hosting, AI. I know.
But I could probably skip the commercial.
All the coaches. Stop
This
it.
is me and that other guy, Commodore.
I'm
Back in the day.
I don't care.
Because I just
I'm
did
not
it.
going to let
That's
you
you,
be
Dash,
disrespectful
maybe.
to
I've
these
never talked to you
damn
before.
coaches
Yeah,
because you love Tom Brady.
No,
I thought this was
Brady
Dustin
does not
Nielsen,
watch
not
more
casting,
cocaine
and
than
Joaquin
Kobe.
Gage.
He does not.
But seriously, this was the funnest time I've ever had. The price is wrong, bitch.
Game on, hey, grab the net, sticks in the middle. Time for episode 22.
You guys ever talk about hockey?
Straight off the pipe. We are proud members of the Hockey Network, and as always, not as always tonight, it's your special co-host, guest co-host, that is.
That guy's voice went up about 8 octaves
for Happy Gilmore, and my co-host tonight is the only guy that's ever taken a skate off in a hockey game and tried to stab somebody with it. Happy Gilmore.
It's only got one shoe on.
That's why the putt leans to the left.
6 more months till hockey season. Gotta get in shape. All the memories.
So last time you had an intelligent co-host on this show.
Oh.
Now I just have his other personality.
Holy fuck! I'm definitely not Lady Byng.
I might need a couple more hits of bourbon for this.
Tough to be Lady Byng when you play 3 minutes, Graham.
Yeah, they call me Shin Splints for that very reason.
I hope you last longer on this podcast than you did in the showdown.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. How did that go, by the way? You guys still lost even without their star goaltender.
How much did Dirsa have to pay you to take a dive and fake an injury so that he could bring in a ringer goaltender?
Well, I had to make the first big save and then take off. That's all. After that, it was all just we knew after that it was all bread and butter.
Well, you didn't make a big save because you didn't make one on Dashney or Hebert.
Well, I mean that wouldn't be considered big saves. That's just average saves.
I'm not sure.
You'd know with that view from the dressing room.
I'm not sure anybody else had to make a big save on Dashney or Hebert in that game either, though.
That's what I hear, anyways.
Yeah, age is a cocksucker. I'll tell you that, Ray.
Yeah, known Lotzie for a long time. He feels
I mean, I was on the winning team that day.
I know. And you still complained for 2 weeks after.
Oh man. So Joaquin Gage today was on Oilers Now, and he said that the Oilers goaltending needs to get to a different level if the Oilers are going to go anywhere as constructed right now. Is that doable, or did we see the best that they both have to offer? And I already know what I think about that, but you guys go ahead. Start with Bobby and go to Kirk, and then Lotzie, and then this Commodore character, and then Graham.
Well, I think we've touched on it a few times already where most of us here believe that Campbell's going to have a 2024 redemption tour. I think he definitely will bounce back. Having said that, though, obviously Skinner's not even in his prime yet, so he still has an upward trajectory. We'll see if he goes through a sophomore slump at all. But we also saw what happened with Vegas. Like Vegas, Aiden Hill isn't a premier goalie in NHL. He's probably more of a middle-of-the-pack goalie in NHL. But anything can happen when a goalie gets on a heater. And every NHL goalie has that capability to go on a heater. They're in the NHL for a reason. They're one of the top 100 goalies in the world. So one of these guys gets on a heater and carries a team or helps carry a team or solidifies that spot back there, anything can happen. So I believe in Jack Campbell will probably be our guy in the playoffs this year when we get there. But I see it very much like a 1A, 1B situation with Skinner and Campbell, and we have the goaltending to do this.
I think it'll be a 60-40 split there. Probably it's up for grabs again. Like it just start the counter at 0 and see what happens. I wasn't a fan of Woody running Skinner into the ground there during the playoffs. He was struggling, although it was his first postseason there in the ECHL, but anything can happen. And I thought that Campbell was great there when he subbed in, like when he was called upon, because he didn't have to think. When he doesn't have to think and just, stop the puck, just to make that next save, I think it'll be the same. It'll be more of the same here for the first 15, 20 games. It's whoever's net you want to, take dibs and grab it.
Yeah, I mean, it can't get much worse for Campbell than it got last year, can it? Like, it's pretty hard to see it going anywhere but upwards for Campbell. Skinner, fantastic rookie season, but he could go up or down. It's his sophomore season, as Bob alluded to, could have a bit of a sophomore slump, or he could continue improving. We don't know. But I kind of agree with Bob. Like, we've seen Aiden Hill, like fifth-string goaltender, come in and win a Stanley Cup for a team. We've seen Michael Layton take the Flyers to the Stanley Cup Finals. We've seen rookie goaltenders Cam Ward and Matt Murray and Jordan Binnington come in and win Stanley Cups. So, right guy gets hot at the right time behind the right team, anything can happen.
That was fucking sweet when Cam Ward won the Stanley Cup. Let me tell you, we partied pretty hard.
Yeah, Commie knows all about that, eh?
Woo!
Honestly.
Night. He was drunk half those games, and going full to prove that it really doesn't matter what you have between the pipes to win the Stanley Cup. Gage, Bob, spoken like true goalies, really. Like, goalie alumni, blah, blah, blah. Do you think Darcy Kemper was a great goalie? The Knights just won the Cup with 5 goalies. Was Antti Niemi a good goalie? Was Corey Crawford a good goalie? Was Quick really as good as he is, or did he have Doughty and 5 defensemen in front of him that were a lot better than most and playing a Sutter system? I think Gage is out to lunch. Put some defense for the first time in a long time in front of those Oilers, and you might see some success. The Oilers haven't had a solid decor since they won a cup. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
06, 07, that was pretty solid. But anyway.
Other than Pronger, pardon?
Oh, yeah, they were solid. That team should have never made the finals. Are you kidding me? How did they make the finals? Oh, goaltender?
Pronger.
Or...
Yeah, Rolly was average, too.
Average? Jesus Christ. Commodore, have another drink, brother.
No, Chad, I agree with Commie there. I think Rolly was an average goaltender, but he was one of those guys that caught red hot in the playoffs.
Rolly was not average in the playoffs. Rolly was far from average in the playoffs.
No, that's what I'm saying, Chad. He was an average goalie that got hot in the playoffs and was stellar, was all-star elite level in the playoffs. And he was a key factor. Him and Pronger were the key factors why we were even in the final in 06.
Bingo.
That's the best Rolly ever played in his career.
Sure,
100%.
But let's not discount that defense core, because that was a pretty good defense core.
Yeah.
Jason Smith.
Yeah, Gator was terrible. Gator was horrible. He was a terrible defense.
Gator, Spotcheck, bunch of
number losers,
4 or 5s,
losers,
4 or 5s, bunch of 4 or 5s, and a hot Pronger.
Kind of like
Mark, I want to know what Rollison's save percentage was in the 06 playoffs.
This is the first time. This is the only year since 1990 the Oilers committed to team defense on the playoffs. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Craig McTavish.
No, McTavish got kicked out of that dressing room. Pekka and Pronger around that room.
Pekka, fuck.
Rolly was a 905 in the 06 playoffs.
I've got some oceanfront property in Wembley,
and that was the best he ever played, Lotsie. 905 in those playoffs, and that's the best he ever played. I guess
that's awesome.
That's your level of the level of excellence.
That should be everyone's level of excellence. What's wrong with 905 going to the
playoffs?
Cup finals? Yeah, going to the Cup finals.
In 06, I think in 05 that save percentage is better than a 905 now.
Yeah.
Scoring's up.
So our save percentages go
Scoring's
figure.
up, Durs.
Okay,
go figure.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why are we dissing? Why are we dissing Campbell's? Why are we dissing Campbell's 21-9-4 record last year? Why are we calling him a dog? Like, he came in and played like a dog. He was 21-9-4.
We were outscoring our problems.
Why are we calling him a dog?
Who's calling him a dog?
I didn't call him a dog.
We were out.
Didn't call him a dog.
We didn't have the season we hoped. No, Bob's right. Campbell and Skinner need to share the load throughout the season. 100%. That's every team. Kiprusoff days are done.
Bob agreed with me. He is right.
We were outscoring some of our problems.
Sure, and that's how it's supposed to be in the high-scoring league that we have now.
So, Dash, I got a question for you. Or
who the fuck is Dash?
Commodore, or whoever the hell the fuck you are.
You're really doing well with this.
I'm not. we either both have to be in full character or none of us. I think that's if you're trying to sell to me that, you know, Rolison with the 905 back then was just trash. I want to know, are shots per game up now? Is that why scoring's up and save percentage is, you know, to be considered a good goalie, you have to have a 920 or better?
Average goalie playing at the peak of his career is not trash. Don't put words in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm just, you were alluding to that, you know.
I was alluding to average goalies win cups. It's about the team and the strategy in front of them. It's not Campbell's fault that the team plays zone defense and they stand around and don't cover guys and screen the goalie.
Okay, talk of recent history about your average goalies winning cups other than Adin Hill. And I guess Colorado's before that. I mean, Vasilevsky's kind of had a good run here.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. You got one on your list. Good job.
Yeah, Bobrovsky's not an average goalie.
But he also didn't win a cup.
Didn't win a cup.
Yeah. I'm just thinking recent memory, you know, it usually takes a pretty good goalie to get it done. And if you don't have that...
You know, that or a bunch of average goalies is behind a good system and have fantastic defense and a team committed to team defense.
I mean, you were downplaying Jonathan Quick. The guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. Is that because he won cups or because he won games?
Both.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick is a way above average goaltender.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick was above average goaltender. That's right.
Was, yes.
Probably should
had a fantastic goaltending coach that had a fantastic Hall of Fame defense in front of him, that had a Hall of Fame coach behind the bench that coaches a defense-first system that limits other teams' high-danger chances nonstop all day.
I'm glad you brought up goaltending coaching.
Segue.
Gee, I wonder where this is going to go.
So...
rhymes
actually,
with quartz, right?
It rhymes with fucking fire quartz. Yeah, 100%.
Schwartz doesn't get fired because Schwartz is awesome. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I think Schwartz has like pictures of cats doing some shit he shouldn't have. I guarantee you, he has some shit on people.
Schwartz,
there's no way.
He has success.
In what?
Goaltending coaching.
No, where?
Producing goaltenders.
Where?
Winning championships.
Where?
2012, a year after he was hired, he wins the WHL championship. 2013, goes to Team Canada, wins a gold with the Ivan Holenka under 17s. Let's go back to the WHL, win the WHL championship, now I'll go win a Memorial Cup. What do I produce out of that? Just Tristan Jarry and who just won a cup? Right, Laurent Brossoit. That's right. Yeah, just Stanley Cup winners. And for my part-time, I'm just going to go to Vinny Ridge and coach at Vinny Ridge, and then Carter Hart will just pump through the system. He's a pretty good goalie.
Yeah, he's all right. Schwartz is and Carter Hart, that's a whole different story. But Brossoit, wish to God he didn't get hurt. That's all I'm going to say.
Was it Schwartz's fault that he got promoted to the NHL?
I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying he's not good at his job.
Okay,
what has he done? What has he done to be poor at his job?
Bob, weigh in, please. Because Bob says this perfectly. It's my favorite thing he says.
Does Bob fight all your fights for you?
Well, some of them. Some of them. He fights some of them, and that's fine. That's why we're a team.
Maybe you should wrap Bob around your shin for the next showdown.
I'm going to say Don Hay.
I definitely will.
Don Hay was a hell of a coach at the WHL level. And that's where it stayed. I mean, you're listing off a bunch of accomplishments that he's done with amateur hockey players.
So Stuart Skinner that he's coached since 2013, he's shitty?
Yeah, we'll get into
a goalie that he has had his hands on for 6 straight years.
So
made a champion at every level.
So where's the scouting report on Adin Hill that helped us get past Vegas?
Thank you. Here's the thing with goalie coaches.
To be fair, we had Laurent Brossoit at the start of that series.
Yeah.
But you got to be prepared for every possible situation.
Yeah.
Swear to God, I wish that he didn't get hurt because that would have been awesome.
You guys are bitching about Campbell should have started and that they would have went farther if Campbell started. It's not Schwartz's fault. You're talking about a butterfly effect. Blame Woodcroft then.
We already did. Many, many times I blame Woodcroft for that bullshit.
Well, then why is that Schwartz's fault, Dirsa? Your point is moot.
Why is that?
I thought Bob was going to fight one of Chad's arguments or something.
Why is it?
Shut up, he will. If you shut your mouth for a second, Commodore, he'll talk. Just shut it. Have a drink.
Why is that Schwartz's fault? Like, do we know the conversation that was had between the two of them? Who should get the next start? We don't. So, I'm not at liberty to say that he didn't, like, he definitively said start Campbell next game, or he didn't. I don't know. I'm not in that room.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Woodcroft has the final call with that. And to me, if you were going to make that move and you were going to make a goalie switch, you don't do it in Game 6 of the series against Vegas. That's too late. So
the reason Campbell was even getting a look in the playoffs was because Schwartz convinced him to change his pads 2/3 of the way through the season.
Well, I think you have to consider a goalie like you have to put Campbell in when it's being pretty obvious that Skinner's rattled.
How is that Schwartz's fault?
I'm not saying it is, but
what road are you running down? Squirrel.
My road is that you had to put Campbell in because Skinner couldn't handle it. He was rattled. But keep going back to him, I think was, fool's gold. I think Campbell actually earned a win when he saved our asses against the Kings. Like, he earned a game.
I mean, just to
That's
play
about a relative to Graham's point as I don't know what, but cool story, bro.
I'm just going to say thank God that Campbell went back to Emu after 3/4 of the season was done and then turned back into Jack Campbell again. That's all I'm going to say. Next question.
Play devil's advocate. Lofty, play devil's advocate.
I was going to say, like, in the short term, we don't know if Campbell would have been a better choice than Skinner in the Vegas series, but I think long term for Skinner's confidence, like ripping him out of a playoff series after basically running with him for 2 straight months. And like I just think it could have created a playoff demon in years going down the road, which is a situation I would have wanted to avoid for sure. So like I didn't hate the fact that he stuck with his guy and showed faith and trust in Skinner, because I think long term that's the better play for Skinner's career development.
I think, Woodcroft was in a situation where unless we won series, you're never going to know how it's going to pan out. And you can second guess it all you want. And he made the decision he made, and he ran with that. I just wonder if anything changes this year. Are you both guys a clean slate and see who gets the job, or are you doling out the same thing? Like, if you're going to keep going back to Skinner, then you might as well have bought out Jack Campbell's where I'm at. Like, you cut him loose.
Where did we start last season, though? We started last season with Jack Campbell being the big $5 million free agent.
Yep.
And he started most every game for the first month, right? And then Skinner stole the net from him.
Yep.
It's like, it's 82 games, it's a long season. So like,
because he's been coached for 6 years by Dustin Schwartz.
Oh, fuck.
It's like anything can happen. Like, just because we start the season one way doesn't mean it's going to end the season that same way. Like, 82 games is a long time. A lot can happen.
Yep. And goalies are voodoo.
Keith,
goalies are voodoo. 100%.
You're the goalie expert here. You got half of a fucking wit to you. I don't know where these other two guys came from. Bob doesn't even play goal. Chad plays for 3 minutes a game. Keith, is Dustin Schwartz a good goalie coach?
Who's Keith?
You.
Keith isn't here. My name's Kirk. I don't know who you're talking about.
Pardon me. Sorry. I thought Kirk was a guy with a beard.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. I've read lots. I've heard lots about Dustin Schwartz and how revered he is in the goalie community.
Mm-hmm.
So I just take that info and I channel it into he's trained countless amount of amateur goalies, like you said there at Vimy. He's worked with the junior team there in Edmonton, and then he's worked with countless other now NHL goalies. That has to add for something. But I get the venom against him there too, because people say that he basically fucked up Cam Talbot. But
Cam Talbot had his best year as an Oiler.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
And then he fell apart, and it took him going to a different place to resurrect his career.
With good defense in front of him. Continue, Keith.
I blame the coaching on that. I blame the head coach on that one, where with McClellan there running him into the ground, though. Load management nowadays, guys, you got to take everything into aspect. If your goaltending, like your goaltenders are so, like, confidence base is such an essential part of goaltending. If you mess with a goaltender's confidence, you could screw him up for years. That's what happened to Talbot. So I can understand keeping Skinner in the net there for, keep going back to Skinner because he didn't want to fuck up his confidence. But where do you pull the plug? Like, where do you say, okay, enough is enough? The definition of insanity, you just keep going back to the same old shit. Give the $5 million guy a chance. And maybe, he pulls a Matt Murray out of his hat. You never know.
Or at what point do you say, how the hell do we shut down Jack Eichel and Jonathan Marchessault?
Exactly.
Like, they were beat us. Let's be real.
It was a double-edged sword, pretty much.
All the success Campbell had in the playoffs was as a backup or coming in halfway through. It's a completely different mentality when you're coming in at the start. So you go and tell Skinner that he's not playing anymore and he's lost the confidence of the coach and the team, and that's the message he gets. Doesn't matter what you tell him. You guys are goalies, you know that. It's the only thing you're going to think about when you put your head in your pillow at that night. And then Campbell, as a starter, comes in with a different mentality and blows it, which is about a 50-50 chance he was going to do. So now you got a 50-50 chance that Campbell's blown it and they both got fucked heads for the next whatever you're going to last for the playoffs.
But you don't think there's a certain amount of head fuckery going on in Campbell after he comes in and saves the day in LA and then he doesn't get a start after that? You don't think that
he did what he was supposed to do? He did exactly what his job was to do.
Yeah, but he also paid his way.
That's his job that night. He did it.
He also paid his way into the conversation where he probably should have got that warranted a start, especially with Skinner struggling.
Sure, then he gets that start, Bob, and he blows it. Then what?
Well, but you put Skinner in and he might blow it. So that's the whole thing. No matter who you put in, there's that chance that they might blow it. That's sports.
But then you still got a capable backup to go to in Campbell, which he's done well.
Barry Bonds can hit 3 home runs one game and go 0 for 4 the next game with 4 strikeouts. So that's just sports. It's a different scenario. But you earn your playing time as an athlete, and I feel like Campbell earned playing time. And you don't think that messes with his head a bit, that he comes in, saves the day, puts a stellar show on, and has to sit on the bench again for the next 6-7 games?
Only because he's that fragile.
Oh, fuck. You just finished talking about how fragile goalies are. All of us, every one of them.
Everybody under the age of 30 or 35 is fragile these days.
Campbell let in 1 goal in 6 periods. That's fucking pretty sweet in the playoffs.
As a backup.
He never got 1 chance. He never got
he got more chances. Yeah, he kept getting more chances as a backup. The job that he was doing really well.
Yeah.
Why did he get so many chances as a backup? Because our starter was struggling. You don't think that warrants?
Because he wasn't coached by Dustin Schwartz long enough.
Thanks,
his best year was his second as an Oiler.
I love how Das just made a circular argument.
I mean, honestly, what the hell has Schwartz done so wrong, Graham? I think he's got pictures on you. You're the one that's fucking out of line.
Oh, no, well, if he had pictures on me, I wouldn't be talking like this about him, right? Because he'd be posting that shit.
You're not on Twitter to see it anyways. Maybe he has.
Yeah, I don't do the tweeters.
You get given a job in the NHL and you get handed Ben Scrivens and Victor Fast.
But
then you get Richard Buckman.
Well, hang on now. Scrivens had a 59 save shutout, still the most ever for an Oiler.
Yeah, under Schwartz.
Didn't Duke?
He had his best game as an Oiler.
Didn't Duke?
Yeah, he was a one-game wonder under Schwartz. Fantastic.
Didn't Devin
Tyler Buns?
Devin
What was he supposed to do with Tyler Buns? What was he supposed to do with Anders Nielsen and Jonas Gustafsson and Al Montoya and Nick Ellis and fucking Stallers and Grosenick and Dylan Wells and Stalick and like
what was Sean Spurk supposed to do with Lauren Francois and Aiden Hill?
Yeah, curious.
How was Devin Dubnyk an all-star when he went to Minnesota?
The best chicken salad you can out of chicken shit.
Exactly
like Schwartz did.
No, he didn't.
How come we're not getting chicken salad?
You know,
I love that.
Talbot had the best year underneath him. Scribbins had the best year underneath him.
And I love that Mike Smith kept his own goalie coach, which is great. And I like that Jack Campbell's gone back to his goalie coach, which is great. So I'm happy all about that stuff.
Mike Smith, first year in Edmonton, was his best year in Edmonton. Then the rest of the NHL figured him out. Cam Talbot's best year was in Edmonton. Koskinen's best year was in Edmonton, his first year. And then the rest of the NHL figured him out.
And then
so you think he did the best he could. He made chicken salad out of chicken shit until the rest of the NHL found the holes.
Schwartz
can't fix Koskinen's glove hand, Chad.
And Dustin Schwartz couldn't fix Cam Talbot. He had to go elsewhere to get remedied.
Actually, he started off really good.
Under Schwartz, Dirsa.
And then he shit the bed, and then he went elsewhere, and he got better.
He was with a fantastic defense in front of him.
He was in a great New York Rangers program to start with. We got him coming out of a great program.
Yes,
and
underneath
did very
Valaket, probably the best goaltending coach out there.
Yeah, so Schwartz had no impact.
Who Schwartz learned under and is a protege of. Yeah. And has taught the exact same head trajectory system to many goalies that have become very successful with it. And there's a reason you last 3 GMs and 9 coaches.
That's right. That's right. Because you're part cockroach, and you can survive a nuclear holocaust.
Or really good at what you do.
Take a brief second right now and stop breathing in your class 1 fumes. Here we go. So chicken salad out of chicken shit. You're even arguing the fact that the NHL figured out Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen, all these guys. Isn't that part of the coach's job then to tweak and adjust his goalie so that they got to keep
the best he could? Once they figured him out, the best he can do is stick him in the back of his net and make him butterfly all the time. Hope the fucking puck hits him.
As an athlete, you're always adjusting, always evolving.
That's what you do when you have a shitty goalie with no confidence.
I'll put it to you this way. My uncle said to me one time, you can't a goalie coach can't take a Pinto and turn it into a Ferrari.
Bingo.
I get that. But some of these goalies are on the verge of being Ferraris and they get turned into Pintos. That's the problem I have with Dustin Schwartz.
I'm going to put Chad Graham in a poker tournament, and the highest card he can get dealt the entire tournament's a 9. And if he doesn't win that tournament, I'm going to call him a shitty poker player. Because you couldn't turn pocket 9s into championship. What's wrong with you?
Let's do it. Fucking right.
Why did they
make sure? I'm going to scout every other player that's in there, and we're going to have.
Since Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr, the Oilers have drafted a bunch of pile of hot garbage as goaltending.
Wow, Ranford, Cujo, holy.
They didn't draft Cujo. They didn't draft Ranford.
Yeah, they traded for Cujo and Ranford.
I'm just saying they picked him up.
They have drafted one goalie since Moog and Fuhr that has played more than 200 NHL games. One in decades and decades and decades.
We seem to neglect.
Every one of the Oilers goaltending coaches have been given a deck of cards with no card higher than 9.
We seem to neglect the position, but I'm going to throw something at you that you're not ready for. Part of a goalie coach's job is to scout the other team. Why does this team, with the offensive firepower that we have, struggle with other teams' fucking fifth string goalie?
Because there's not enough videotape on them.
Whose fault is that?
Talk about the team.
The fact that they haven't played enough hockey, Dirsa.
That's that goalie coach's job, is to find the weaknesses on all these, the fifth string goalies, like all of them. They're supposed to know.
Dustin Schwartz can't stop Broberry from taking a hooking call and the Eichel scoring 3 goals in 90 seconds and the team mentally falling apart and crumbling out of the plallayoffs.
That was a phantom.
Well, actually, you can't probably play a factor and then not scoring 3 goals in 90 seconds.
So I don't think Dustin Schwartz's goaltending scouting of Aiden Hill is the difference in the Stanley Cup.
Not a difference, but the factor.
Ousting of the Oilers.
No, not playing Campbell was.
And the positive things he's done was also a factor. Wouldn't have got as far as he would have without Skinner.
People want.
I'd also like to add in at this point,
Skinner.
Where was the defense to help out the goaltending?
Exactly.
Why isn't anybody asking about Dave Mattson? That's how I like to know.
Fair question.
Got more fault than Dustin Schwartz does on the coaching staff.
They all have a lot of fault, every one of them.
I think it was on Michael's show. You guys, maybe it was Lotzi that brought up like, got to get out of playing man to man. I for the life of me cannot figure out why man to man defense for professional athlete is a hard concept to grasp, but for some reason they can't get it. It shouldn't be that hard. You have a man, you take him. It's not like, if there's picks, they're not legal. So if there's any of that going on, fight through it. So, fall down, whatever, get the call, but stay on your man. I don't understand how that's a hard concept to grasp. I really don't. Maybe you guys can touch on why you think it's too hard for them, but really shouldn't be. I know you, like in your minor hockey as a defenseman, you usually don't go past the circles and chase, but if you're into a man-to-man concept, which is something you're not in your minor hockey, maybe it's too ingrained in their heads, I don't know, but I for the life of me can't figure out why they can't figure it out. That one play last year, you all probably remember, where Nurse chased and Fogel forgot to fucking stay with his man. His man went to the net and got the puck and put it in. Nurse played it right. Everybody was hard on Nurse. He actually played man-to-man defense the right way. He stayed on his man. If Fogel wants a switch, he's got to tell Darnell, I need a switch. But that's not up to Darnell. You stay on your man. That whole play, I saw people want to crucify Nurse because that's what people like to do on Twitter and all that. It just bothers me. Like, if that's your system, then learn how to fucking play it, figure it out. And you might be right. It's too complicated for them, which I find fucking hilarious. Like, these guys are pros. They're supposed to know how to play, a man-to-man system or a zone system or a cross between the two, whatever. It's not that complicated. Figure that out. Figure out your defensive schemes, and then the game becomes fun because then you're on offense. Like, I don't get it. Whatever you guys want to throw at that, go ahead, but.
It's just when you're playing man-to-man D, like, you can't get sucked too far to the wall unless the puck is there and you're defending the puck. You can't get sucked too far towards the blue line, right? Like, you get closer to your man as the danger becomes more imminent, which is closer to the goal. If your man's not as much of a threat, you give him a little more space. So Darnell followed his man to the blue line. I mean, that's his job to stay with his man, but like, why are you chasing him all the way up to the blue line? It's not just Darnell, it's forwards too. They get beat off the wall in the neutral zone or in the D zone, and then their man's left wide open in the slot. Well, why is that? It's because they were too aggressive when their man wasn't in a dangerous spot. Then they got beat, and then it's game over from there.
I'd honestly like to know what the true definition of their system is, because if it's flat out man-to-man, the Nurse played it right. And if it's like what most of us know in minor hockey, you don't really chase past the circles. You come back and you protect the net and let them hang out there.
There was a very noticeable change in the second half of the season, and that's, I'm guessing, not a coincidence that their defensive numbers as a team got drastically better once the D stopped chasing so high. And then we started to see that again in the Vegas series. In the first half, it killed us. When we were losing all those games in November, December, it was killing us. But we tightened it up in the second half. The D weren't chasing so high, and suddenly things got better. And then we saw it again against the Vegas Golden Knights. Then they beat us.
People want to point to Eichel being the reason that we got kind of crushed. I think Marchessault just got to a different level against us, and he kept that up the rest of the way. He was a difference maker. I don't know. I thought he was their most dangerous player. I thought he was their great game breaker.
Yeah, and there was a couple plays where, I'm pretty sure there was one specifically. I remember that one that went way up high off of Skinner's shoulder, and the puck settles in the crease, and Marchessault just taps it in. That was Nuge's man. Nuge lost him way high in the zone. So it's things like that. Forward loses their guy when the guy's not in a dangerous position, and then it's game over from there.
I want to ask you guys too. There's changes definitely coming to Hockey Night in Canada, and Sportsnet, and I, for one, will not be happy if during intermissions we don't see Kevin Bieksa and Jennifer Botterill. I think they really make kind of the intermission. I mean, Elliott's probably going to be around no matter what, and I've got time for Elliott Friedman, but for me, Bieksa adds like some color and entertaining and good insight, and Jennifer Botterill is excellent at what she does. That news on the horizon doesn't make me happy. I just wonder what you guys think about all that. Don't be afraid to
I'm
go
definitely
first.
with you on Bieksa.
Yeah.
Definitely with you on Bieksa. I mean, like, not only is his analysis usually pretty intelligent, he's a former player that's kind of giving you the X's and O's from a recent ex-player's perspective. But yeah, he has a little bit of fun with Friedman, a little playful jabbing back and forth. Like, that's fun to watch. I don't have an opinion on Botterill one way or the other. She's fine. I'm sure she's fantastic at her job, but like, she doesn't do it for me from an entertainment perspective. So like, I'm 6 of one, half dozen of the other on her. Friedman, yeah, he's not going anywhere because he's the insider. I mean, Ron McLean was a part of my childhood growing up, and I'm sure everybody here can say the same, but I've been done with McLean for a while.
Me too.
Yep.
But I think I loved watching BX turn into an Oilers fan. That was a really weird and awesome thing for me.
Yeah. It's never a bad thing when the enemy comes on board.
I think even the banter between Bieksa and Friedman there, that was just next level at times. I miss having Don Cherry on during the intermissions just for that point counterpoint. Just going against the grain. It's sad. It's really sad the way that Rogers has treated this. They're just pretty much skinning it down to the bare wood now, and they lost a pile of money. I read there today, and it's not, it's not the fans' fault. Like, why are you starving the fans? You should be looking internally beyond what you present there on your television.
I think one of the draws too for BX is like Lotsie was saying too. Yeah, he's an ex-player, relatively fresh ex-player who still is in tune with today's game, and knows how a lot of these guys are thinking. But on the other side of that too, he comes across as like one of us. Like he talks like a fan. Like he talks like a guy you can just have a beer with and talk hockey with. Like he's almost like our voice in that situation. And it's very relatable.
Just like your boy, Kami.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too is Strudwick brought up on his Got Your Back show with Rashog that the Oilers they need to bring in somebody that's won a cup before to the roster. He mentioned Patrick Maroon. I don't know about Patrick Maroon 2.0, but do you guys think that's a necessary evil, or are they good the way they are, or do you want some of that intangibles with the group?
Well, I think
obviously
getting experience like that is nothing but an asset to have somebody who knows what it takes to get there and to win. Like, it's one thing getting there; it's another thing to win it once you're there. I think we already tried that angle to some extent with Duncan Keith, and Duncan Keith, I think, was a valuable asset to us, underrated, I think, for even what he brought on the ice, not just in the dressing room. So I don't think it's mandatory for us to have a guy, but sure, it doesn't hurt the cause to have somebody there that knows what it takes to win it.
Kami?
I wasn't paying attention. What's the question?
Jonathan Taves coming to the Oilers to give some experience. Go.
It's a sweet dude.
Right?
I think a bigger thing to touch on, though, I want to touch on something a bit that Keith mentioned there, too, about Dave Manson, which I thought was a good point. So, trying to put everything together here. So you guys were talking about that man-on-man defense thing. Now, was that something, somebody educate me on this, was that something we were doing before Dave Manson came in, or was Dave Manson one of the guys who instigated that kind of defensive tactic? for us.
That was McClellan.
We're playing zone since,
Yeah.
pre-McClellan maybe.
Yeah.
But having said all that, Manson's being in charge of the defense. He's also running our PK, is he not?
He is, yeah, and that's another thing that I'll touch on quickly, because last year I noticed a very big and very noticeable change in their scheme, which was rather than having the high forward pressure the puck carrier in the shooting lane, like trying to block shots and get in the lane, they were trying to pass a blocking lane. Like most teams run an umbrella style power play now, and you'd see that high forward charge into the passing lane, didn't matter which one, but then the low forward would just hang out in the middle trying to block passes to the middle. So like they were trying to create turnovers and try to create odd man chances shorthanded. They didn't care so much about the shot. It was about trying to prevent lateral puck movement at the point and trying to prevent puck movement through the middle of the slot as well. Like they struggled hard with it in the first half of the year. They got better in the second half, but they struggled hard in the first half.
Well, I can see the temptation of trying that when you have a guy like McDavid and Drysdale helping kill penalties. I mean, that whole dangerous aspect of us being able to turn it around and score a shorty, I understand that mentality. But I feel like if we're not strong enough defensively, which is defensive first on a penalty kill, and let's face it, we do not have a penalty kill that's going to win us the Stanley Cup at the moment.
Well, especially not with that scheme. Like it's such a new scheme. Like I haven't seen any team really run with that for any length of time. Like it was a new thing for me. It was really interesting, but they struggled with it. But I think that's why we're able to see a lot of Connor McDavid and the Stars killing penalties last year, because they weren't asked to get in the shooting lane. Like there was zero danger to them. It was just about trying to pick off passes.
There was this.
If I was in the Twitter world, I'd be like, #bring back Chris Russell.
There was this weird switch
Bring
off.
back Mike Commodore.
There was this weird earlier in the season last year. There was this weird kind of switch off with the forwards too, like not knowing who was going to chase and who was going to pull back. It got better as it went on, but holy cow! At the beginning of the year, that was hard to watch.
Yep,
your orchestra hands are hard to watch.
So,
but we also don't want Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl to be in the shooting lane, do we? Like, I guess to take away that option, but not to actually be in the way of a shot. But we can't afford that on those guys.
No, that's what Cece and Russell did. They were good at it.
Yeah, and like the system they're playing, it lends itself to the defenseman blocking shots. If the pass happened to get through that high forward, then it's up to that low defenseman on that side to step into that shooting lane and block the shot.
Worst thing that ever happened to your guys' team is Duncan Keith retiring, really.
Yep.
I'll say this about the Stanley Cup experience bit. Like, I don't care how much experience the guy has. If he's not contributing to your team, then what's the point? Like Ryan Murray last year, he came from Colorado. His team won a cup, but like he wasn't on the ice. And then he comes here, and part of the selling was, "Ooh, he's won a Stanley Cup before." But like he did nothing, and he did nothing for us
Watch
either.
from the press box.
Exactly, you watch from the press box. So like, the guy needs to have contributed and needs to understand leadership and what it takes to win. Just because you happen to have been on a Stanley Cup winning team doesn't mean you've had that hands-on experience and can bring those intangibles. And you can bring those intangibles without having won a Stanley Cup.
Back home.
Exactly.
I wonder if that was a selling feature.
I wouldn't know I'd won a cup versus the Oilers.
Versus the Oilers. You fucker.
And I wonder if that was a selling feature for Laurent Brossois' agent too, when they tried to sell him to Winnipeg again. That he's a Stanley Cup winner. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Stanley Cup winner got hurt in the second round and didn't play another minute.
Playing on two brand new hips. Yeah.
So you beauties, we have orders from headquarters to keep shows under an hour, and we're at about 54 minutes. I posted the QR.
You're gonna start listening to rules now.
Right?
That's rich.
That's a good idea.
Wow.
I put Lotsy's article QR code up in the left corner there. If you want to scan that and give it a C. So McLeod and Bouchard are kind of the variables, I guess, going into next season. I think they both get done, but little tumultuous times for us. Wanted you guys, is this the year? Do we actually break through, and are we sipping champagne in June?
Well, we only got 2 years left for Leon, so we better hurry up.
Leon's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going to Los Angeles. Thank fuck.
Yeah, Angel's watching tonight, man. Did his team ever fuck up an off season? Woo!
Draisaitl might go to LA
torching
after
your
LA beats
team.
the Oilers
Holy
out of the
shit.
playoffs this year.
Yeah.
You think so?
Then Dustin Schwartz needs to go because Cam Talbot beating us would be the nail in his coffin. Better be.
Yeah.
Put some respect on Bill Ranford's name.
I want to give a shout out to Lotzi for that article. I read it here before the podcast, and you put some good insight on it and some good research on it. So in the end here, obviously some of the gist there I got was that now that McLeod's going to arbitration, that's going to have to be dealt with first before we can actually sign Bouchard. So what McLeod's going to get is going to directly impact what Bouchard's going to get. And so you're figuring he's going to be probably around the 1.5 over 2 year kind of mark?
I have him coming in closer to 2 million. Like, I have a 1.9 prediction down in the article. So I think it's going to be closer to that. Like, the best contract comparable I could find was Antoine Vermette back in 2006. Identical 0.4 points per game production in their age 23 season. Similar roles on the team, both penalty killed, both playing third line. And Vermette ended up with, 2.24% of the cap, which in today's language is just under 1.9 million. Oh, look at me go. So, yeah.
You're comparable.
I think it'll be similar to that, and maybe even a little bit more than what Vermette got in terms of percentage of the cap. So, like, that's why I'm thinking 1.9.
What if you're comparable as LeBanc in San Jose, who took a very friendly deal the year before just so his team could get under the cap and then got paid for it after?
What do you get, a 4x5 or 5x4? I don't see that happening for McLeod. But there is a chance, a very real chance, he's over 2 million. Clem Costin had 2 fewer points in the same amount of games that Ryan McLeod played this year, and he just got 2x2 in Detroit. And
Bouchard and
Costin
McLeod
doesn't,
Bouchard and McLeod are
doesn't
going to
do as
cost you
much
guys
as
6.
McLeod does.
6+ for both.
Yeah, but McLeod has more responsibility than Costin had, though, as well overall, like for a 200-foot game. So there's some more value behind McLeod. But in your mind, though, is he a $2 million a year player to you?
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if he was at 2 million. Like, if you'd have talked to me before I wrote the article, I would have said no. Like, I want to see a little bit more offensive production out of him to get to that level. But given where salaries are going and given the contract comparables that are out there, then yeah, I'd say he's pretty close.
Let's hope he spends the offseason working with Schwartz.
Couldn't hurt.
No, absolutely not.
Are you trying to? Is the question you're asking, Bob, if Costin would have been better for $2 million than Ryan McLeod?
No, absolutely not. No, I keep McLeod over Costin. I mean, good for Costin for getting the money he got, and good for Edmonton for not paying him that money neither. I do think McLeod adds more value. So if Costin is getting $2 million in the market, then McLeod would be worth as much, if not more. But again, I'm with Lotzi in this one. I'd like to see him under 2. I'd like to see him closer down to the 1.5 if possible. But whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what the Oilers are probably going to ask heading into this arbitration case. I think the McLeod camp will probably be asking for like 2.25, somewhere in there, and I think McLeod's got a pretty strong argument, so I think it'll lean a little bit more towards McLeod's side. So that's where I'm arriving at high ones from.
Dick move by Costin, making a guy take his Flames jersey off. I think that was pretty rude. I'd have shipped him out of town after that, too. If I still played, I'd pump Costin. I'd pump him right in his Russian
How dare
head.
he set his hands on one of those things? Risk ruining his hands for life.
Sayonara.
You say, Tommy, you say you would have pumped Costin back then. I'm scared.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
scared.
I could pump
I'm
him
scared
now.
to know. I'm scared to know the pumping you're doing now.
Pumping gas
Give me
on the
a
big
PT
rig.
Flames, give me a PTO. You guys will see.
You worry about the PTO on your class 1.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Make sure she's full of DEF fluid.
What do you think, Keith? What do you think about McLeod? What are you looking at for numbers?
I think they'll split the difference there. It'll probably be 1.75 to 1.9, around there. I'm not a fan of arbitration cases, but that's what they're there for. They're there to keep the players happy, and it's one ace up their sleeve that they can use, I guess. But I was going to ask everybody here, looking a little further down the road here, what do you think about Bouchard? What do you guys think he'll get?
4+.
It'll be closer to 5 right now.
You don't think he'll match Byram's contract there, 3.85 or whatever it is?
It's better than Byram.
Yeah.
He's got more offense than Byram. He's been healthier than Byram. Like, if Byram's getting, what did he get, 3.85 or 3.75?
What was Nurse's last bridge?
Yeah, like
5.
There you go.
Yep.
If we get
I don't think Bouchard's had enough experience to be at that 5 number that Nurse got in his last bridge. I think he's one bridge away from that, because Nurse had another bridge prior to that. So like, I could see it settling in around 4, like 4.1, 4.2.
Right-handed defensemen are pretty much the best thing going today. Let me just say
Yeah,
that
they're
right now.
tough to come by. You're right.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see him closer to 5, especially if we get McLeod for under 2.
Yeah, I know they're trying to pull that McLeod number down as low as they can go, so they can give Bouch more.
And
I'm
again,
a right-handed defenseman. I'll take league min. Fucking go.
So
fuck around and find out.
I'll let you guys have a Hebert trick of having the last word, and we'll go Chad, Lotzie, Kirk, Bob, and then this Commodore clown, and then I'll close this down, and we'll get out of here. Go ahead, Graham.
# fire Dustin Schwartz.
All right, Lotzie.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check out the article yet, it's called McLeod's arbitration case, new up on the Heavy Hockey Network, heavyhockey.com. And look out for my piece on Evan Bouchard's contract situation. I don't have a date set for that yet, but within the next couple weeks here, I plan to get that done. And thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on, making my 97 Octane debut. And I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Morris.
Just want to give a quick shout out to the newest members of Heavy Hockey. They're Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Glad to have you boys along there. And I am working on an article, a first article here in probably about 6 or 8 months. Going to be talking about Ken Holland's draft history. And is it good or bad for the Oilers?
I want to just echo Lottie's comment about that article on McLeod. Kudos, I enjoyed that one, so kudos again. Check it out, guys. Looking forward to Pete's article on Holland. You got me fired up for that one already. Looking for that one. Also, just a quick thing here in regards to sending positive vibes out and stuff to the Stelter family. Just heard that Mike Stelter there. He's got cancer on his back, kind of thing. They got to go to the States to get the surgery or to get the medication or whatever it takes that they don't have here in Canada. So, and I think somebody was going to try and post a GoFundMe for that. So we'll search for that and see what can happen from that. Other than that, just again, I want to say what an honor it is to have Mike Commodore on our podcast, our first real NHL guy. So awesome.
All right. Call me.
I would just also like to say that it is an honor for you to have me on your podcast. I'm sure this is a lifelong dream for Tom and Margaret's baby boy. And to have a guy like this come and carry you and get this through the hour is really something you guys should be proud of.
Oh, God.
You know, it's hard to get past that Hulk Hogan handlebar mustache that he's rocking with the orange hair. That's quite the look. You know, I was before we started this up, me and Dash got together from some lunatic from Calgary that promised us that we were become millionaire podcasters. So far, we're still waiting for our checks to come, but I'm glad that. You know, we met.
I think he bears paying Dash fat checks.
There you go.
I'm not sure what happened to you.
I'm glad that we got together from that guy anyway, and I got to know you and your family and your son. You guys are special to me, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future. Rumor is that you and Josh, Soft Call Pod, are gonna team up and start your own show, and I wish you nothing but the best. You know, I think you've passed me in appearances on Oilers Live in record time, so congratulations on that feat. And
who are you talking to, Keith?
Yeah,
that's sweet, Keith. Congrats, buddy. Right on.
Yeah. And about what Bobby said, I've got a link to the Stelter GoFundMe. I'll post here, and I'll close this down. Thanks everybody for coming on. Keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars, and let's win a cup in 23-24.
Go Flames.
Fuck.
Worst send off ever.
You guys are beautiful, and yeah, if you could help Mike Stelter on his cause for fighting his cancer, we would appreciate it. Once again, thanks to Michael Hebert for being the owner and crew chief of us clowns, so we get to do this at least once a week.
Fucking love that guy.
Monday we're back with Tough Call and Raghu Shamar.
Thank you.